Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
That's what intro music.
All right.
Hit record.
We're going to get started here in a second, guys. If you're hanging out, I want to see something. Yeah, so, hey, Fern, why don't you pull up the link on your phone? So if anybody has any comments, you can throw them out.
Oh, yeah. We can see here also, can't we?
No, I don't think we can. All right. Well, we're totally new to this live stream thing, and we've only been going for a little bit. Turn that down, dude. So anyway, yeah, it's September, guys. We're full on coming into fall. It's a lot of sadness there that we're leaving the summer months, but also looking forward to some really cool stuff coming up. Even with the COVID going on, we still have the ocean, we have the outdoors, we got our buddies to go do stuff with, and we got lobster season coming up. I'm sure a ton of you guys are excited, just like I am, to get out there and grab some bugs and have some fun with our friends. A lot of our members do shore dives. A lot of our members do boating trips. We kind of got all of that. It's all good. The great thing about Southern California here, when you're talking about lobster diving, is there's lobster everywhere. You can get it from shore. You can get it from the boat. If you can get out to the islands, which there's so many islands here, from the Channel Islands down to Catalina, out to San Clemente, all the way down to San Diego. We got lobster up and down here, and we're pretty lucky to have it. So I know a lot of you are excited to get out there and grab some bugs. We got some tips about that. We're going to be talking about some gear, what to use tonight, what we like to use. I don't think that, there's some wrong ways to do things, and there's a lot of right ways to do things. We're going to show you a couple of the right things. We're going to talk about a couple of the wrong things. We have a couple things going on with the club. Some of you guys who are watching this video are obviously active on our Facebook page, OC Spearos and Friends. If you're not, you can find us there, Facebook OC Spearos and Friends. It's a group. It's a private group. You can go ahead and sign up if you want. We'll review you and accept you to the group. It's one of the largest groups for freediving and spearfishing on Facebook, and we're really happy about that. And we love all the interaction that goes on there. It's really cool to see new people come on who are just buying their first gun and sharing that experience with everybody, and to see like 50 comments on a thread like that. It's really fun and encouraging place. For you old guys that have been around and have kind of migrated, like a lot of us, over to Facebook from the old forum structure of the internet, when you had to actually go to a website and go to a specific thread and stuff. We're kind of excited how the OC Spearos and Friends group has exploded here, and if you're not a part of it, we welcome you to come on in and be a part of that. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff. You have the potential to meet a bunch of cool people, and we love to see your progression from a noob Spearo and go through the years and see your accomplishments, fish, friends. A lot of you guys are buying boats and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about a little bit of shore diving here when it comes to lobster diving. We're also going to be talking about a little bit of boating when it comes to shore diving for lobster. But before I do that, we want to cover a topic that is safety, of course. One of the things, well, let me back up there. We got a cool thing going on right now, and it's in response to a safety incident that happened last year on opening season with OC Spearos club member Ryan Huff. And Ryan Huff unfortunately had a diving incident on opening day and perished. He's been sorely missed, and we've been in constant contact with his family and other club members and friends who loved Ryan. And we've had a lot of interest in what happened that day and what could be prevented. And we think it's important to go over it. We're not going to go over it in great detail. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for detail, but we think that's better served for when the COVID is over. And hopefully, that could be as soon as the day after the election to maybe even winter, fall area. But as soon as we we're going to have an in-person meeting, and at that meeting, we'll be sharing more detail about the incident involving Ryan Huff. But right now, I'm going to go over some bullet points about that because it really ties into what we're going to be talking about as far as safety and making sure that you and your dive buddies go out there and hunt lobster in a safe way where you're watching each other's backs and you're going to come home safely and enjoy that fantastic catch. So I'll just kind of get right in it. I have some notes here, so excuse me if I'm looking down. There was a bunch of possible contributing factors, and the reason I'm saying possible right now is because obviously we don't know all the details. We have a lot of information. We have information from the dive computer that Ryan was wearing. We know from his dive buddies, of course, where they were, the general timeline of events that was going on. And we've pieced all these things together and extracted out some bullet points that we want to share to you. Okay. So some of the things that are contributing factors, of course, swell and weather. I don't know if you guys remember, but last lobster season, it wasn't the best. I think there was a decent 3-foot swell peaking in a lot of places depending on how the ocean was reacting that particular spot. There was a fair amount of wind also contributing to that chop factor and swell factor and surge factor. So keep that in mind when you're going out and you're diving, especially on opening season. I've been out on many opening seasons where, heck, it's opening season. It's opening day. Everybody wants to go, and it's pretty much like, damn Mother Nature, we're going to make it out there. We're going to get some bugs. We're going to come home. And that can work against you, right? And not maybe as a sole contributing factor, but when things start stacking up against you, that's certainly something that you need to think about. So when you go lobstering, try to pick a day where the swell is lighter. Maybe the wind chop is better. It'll probably be better conditions, visibility, honestly. But, you're going to do what you're going to do there. So when Ryan Huff was diving, he had 2 partners. There's a 3-man team. They were out diving. Everything wasn't perfect as far as gear. We're going to go over gear about this, but there was some factors with gear that were involved in this. We had a missing knife. Ryan's knife that he did have on him. His buddies didn't know where he kept the knife, and had another knife that was not available due to inflation of a buoyancy device. What are those?
FRV.
The FRV vests.
Free dive recovery.
And we can talk a little bit about that, but I'll just say it right now. If you're wearing an FRV vest and it's inflating, one of the things that was learned is if you inflate that vest, it's obviously going to puff up. And in this case, there's a dive knife attached to the weight belt, and that weight belt, the FRV vest, upon inflation, went over the top of that and basically could not retrieve that knife. because of the inflated vest. So that was another contributing factor to that. Yeah, ideal knife locations, right? So the anterior of the calf and or shin, down on the inside of your leg is a good spot. It's always a good idea to have a couple dive knives. One down on your leg. I wear mine on the inside of my left leg just so it doesn't snag on kelp on the outside. Another good spot, be up on your arm here. And you don't need to have two big samurai swords on you. Just one regular knife.
Not an arm, sorry.
Oh, Jeremy's saying not an arm, so I take that back.
That was one of the issues that Ryan had.
Okay. So on the belt, right in front is a nice spot. Just keep in mind you want it accessible, you want it visible.
We have a comment from Mike Shuck also reminding to make sure your knife has a line cutter on it.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, you're right. Making sure you're a serrated edge, a line cutter. A line cutter is even better. A serrated edge is great, but a lot of people need to do maintenance. Also, is one thing I'd say about your dive knife. Dive knife's great, but not if it's all rusted out and dull. It's not going to cut very well. So it is important to keep your dive knife sharp. You can also have a line cutter. I meant to have my line cutter here, but I don't have them. Petros at Spear America is going to be stocking line cutters here. So if you want a line cutter, you can go and get those. That's a great idea or accessory to have on your belt if your knife doesn't have one. But there are knives that have that little hook. It's kind of like a gut hook on the top, and that's a nice little line cutter like that. So yeah, just be prepared with stuff to cut. Let's see, another contributing factor during that dive, Ryan was lobstering and he was spearfishing at the same time. A lot of us do that. I've done it. I know a lot of my buddies do it or have done it in the past. It's certainly not something I'm going to be doing anymore. Knowing about how the details of it all played out. What basically happened there is, Ryan was lobstering. He had lobsters in his bag. He had one of these bags that go around your waist, and they have a bungee there. He had one of those around his waist, and he was also spearfishing. Got away from the group, shot a sheephead down in a hole, got the hole, went to retrieve the sheephead, come up to the top. Some sort of tangle happened with the shooting line and the lobster bag, and that resulted in a hold down underwater, not letting Ryan come up to the surface, and he eventually succumbed to that, not being able to get the tangle untangled in time. So yeah, he had it was a reel line actually, so he had a reel on his gun, and that's what got tangled up. There's a bunch of things there that could have possibly changed the outcome of this incident, and there's a lot to think about. Again, I think I'm going to go into any more detail than that, but his partners found 2 to 3 minutes after he tried to surface. There was other contributing factors even after his dive partners found him that didn't allow him to get released from that tangle with sufficient time to revive him once everything was done. So we have on that, and in Ryan Huff's honor, we have launched the Ryan Huff O.C. Spearos Memorial Fund, or the O.C. Spearos Ryan Huff Memorial Fund. And so we're really excited about this part. This is more of a happy thing to talk about. We have donations going out. If you guys have seen it, there's a GoFundMe page out on our O.C. Spearos and Friends that you can link to. You can donate to there. We've had a bunch of generous donations already. I think we're somewhere, Brad, where are we at right now on that?
A little over $2,000.
We're a little over $2,000 right now. And on top of that, we've been working out deals with the FII instructors up and down the coast. And they're also being generous. They see it as a good cause, as it is. And so we're able to do some really great deals here, especially on this first go around. We're shooting for $5,000, and that's going to be able to get a ton of OC Spearos members who can't afford the FII instruction, a scholarship to get that instruction for basically zero out of pocket. Of course, there's an application for that we're going to be introducing after we reach our goal, and you'll be filling that stuff out, and we'll be reviewing it and selecting the members that we feel are a good fit for this program to get an FII instruction. I've done it. Fernando's done it. Well, shoot, the whole board is behind me or in front of me, guys. There's Brad, Fernando, Jeremy, and Eric over here.
What's up, guys? Hey, guys.
And of course, that's 2 FII instructors right there. And then the remainder of us, we've all done our FII class, and we can't recommend it enough. We hope you guys are excited for this opportunity. If you're an OC Spearos member, it's a huge opportunity for you to go out and get certified. So one of the main excuses we hear about FII is just too expensive. And I totally get that because there's some people that are just on a lower budget, and that's just how it is. I know that every FII graduate that I've ever talked to have said that it's the best, that it's worth every penny of that. So anyway, we're really excited to have this new fund, and we encourage anybody watching this video that that feels dive safety is important, like the OC Spearos thinks it is, to go ahead and donate to the GoFundMe and help a fellow Spearo get certified and get safe. And hopefully we don't have to have an incident like the Ryan Huff incident again. So with that, we do have, is there anything missing about what's going on? Oh yeah. Did I cover that all right, or did I miss anything?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay.
Get on GoFundMe.
I think Brad was supposed to talk about that, and I just kind of segued in there. I didn't realize it.
Have everybody share the GoFundMe page if they see it up.
Yeah, if you see the GoFundMe page for the Ryan Huff Memorial Fund, please share it. Share it to all your friends, not just in your spearfishing network groups.
We're gonna have
Share it. Try to spread that worldwide. I think a lot of people are going to feel like it's important, and every dollar counts on that, even if it's a small donation.
There'll also be a auction or raffle coming up soon to try to fundraise for that.
Right, we got an auction and a raffle coming up to fundraise for that. We even have the Catalina Flyer giving discounts to get people over there to get to Casino Point at Avalon and get diving. That's important. Brad's gonna.
Yeah, a couple more points here. So right now the goal is $5,000, and with that, with the generous pricing and donations that our local instructors have given us, along with FII itself, has come on board to help out. Catalina Flyer and Express have come on board to offer significant discounts to awardees. That $5,000 goal is going to get us 60 members certified. 60, not 16. And with the ultimate goal of being that the entire OC Spearos club will be a certified dive club. Now, if you can afford it, please don't apply because this is going to be really for, we've got a lot of younger guys in the club that don't have enough money to buy a wetsuit and fins and guns and have an FII class. And for some odd reason, in everybody's mind, the idea of taking a safety free dive course is something that falls to the bottom of their list. One thing I'll tell you about an FII course is it's not just safety. You're going to improve your dive skills. You're going to improve your bottom time. You're going to improve your comfort at depth. So really kind of the thing that gets people into it is that improvement of their skills, but really what they take away from at the end, it's always a flip and they say, oh my God, I didn't know all the safety stuff that I now know. I'm a more responsible, safer diver, and that's really important for the club.
Even Fernando said that.
Fernando. Yeah,
What happened?
yeah. Jeremy was actually Fernando's instructor, and I had to go along on his class with
4
him.
years to talk him into it.
And I remember his first dive to 20 meters, 66 feet. He came up and he's like, "Oh my God, I've never been that comfortable at depth before." One thing that people get scared of with FII, and something to not be worried about, is yes, FII will certify you to the 20 meter, 66 feet mark, and it will certify you to a 3-minute static breath hold, but it does not require that you do either of those things. So don't be scared if you don't think you can make it to 66 feet. Don't be scared that you don't think you can hold your breath for 3 minutes. Those are just the certifying levels that you get to, and you're going to learn a lot of stuff along the way.
Cool.
That's what I got.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. So, yeah, Ryan Hub Memorial Fund, donate to that. If you can't afford a class, get with us and we'll consider you, because we want everybody to be certified. Back up. How's this? Okay. So, yeah, Lobster Season's Opener. Get your lobster card. Step number 1.
What's the date?
October 3rd, 6 a.m. Okay, that's not this weekend. That's the next weekend. All right, so October 3rd. Season opens Saturday morning at 6 a.m. A lot of you guys who dive only at night are like, oh, that sucks. You can still limit out at 6 a.m. No problem. Okay, get your butt to the ocean at 5:30 with your buddies. Get in the water at your favorite spot, not my spot, but your favorite spot, and be ready to go. So I would encourage you to, if you haven't, what they're saying, don't tell them that.
Tell them about the brand preferred areas.
The brand preferred areas, yeah. Well, that's all. They're all my spots. Stay off them. Right. So, okay, gear. Let's talk about gear. First, you need a wetsuit, right?
A comfortable wetsuit.
Super comfortable wetsuit. I have this super comfortable wetsuit that I bought at Spearos America. This sick logo on it from this awesome dive club that I know. And open cell wetsuit coming into the winter. 5 mil down here in Southern California is definitely the spot. Probably right now until the water cools down, you could get away with a 3 millimeter, because especially if you're going to get in there and grab a limit real quick. But if you're going to be in there for some hours, you might want to consider a 5 mil. I know everybody's body heat is a little bit different. So yeah, open cell wetsuit. Don't do that surf suit. The surf suits are different, and you're gonna get cold, and it's not gonna be as fun, you know. You're gonna need obviously your weight belt. Your weight belt, I think, is important to think about what kind of weights you have. Get some my weight belt's in the garage, but get some low profile weights. The big bulky scuba ones they'll make do, but get some of those low profile weights. That'll help you not get caught up on stuff, not have tangles and stuff that get caught on your weights. If you're lobster diving and you got your lobster bag, you don't necessarily need a fish stringer. You can keep your fish stringer on there. That's one more thing that's going to get tangled in something, wrapped around your light, stuck somewhere. So you make a call on that. I know a lot of people that are doing lobster diving also like to stab a fish. In that case, you can throw it in your lobster bag with the lobsters. And so that
Flatfish tuck up under your wetsuit. Too.
Yeah, or halibut you can just throw up. You can literally throw up in the chest of your wetsuit. And
Mouth up.
yeah, so
Biting you.
there's
They bite though, so careful.
yeah.
The halibut.
The halibut, yeah. Okay, yeah, it's triggerfish.
Yeah.
So the best setup, right? A lot of people use these bags, and I'm guilty that I use these too. These were part of the contributing factor to Ryan Huff, and one of the reasons here, you guys see these snaps here? That snap and this line that tightens up the waist, this line can get over tight, and then as it's pressed against your body and your wetsuit, it can kind of sink in there to make it hard to get off. So keep that in mind if you are going to use one of these top style bags that go around your waist.
Hey guys, Fernando. I did a test on one of these bags one night during a really cold water during the end of lobster season. And these are to me, they're my favorite bag to dive with. They just cause like no weight on you. You just glide through the water really easily. But when I tried to take this bag off of me in just a simulated emergency, the bag had slid around and my hands were numb. I really couldn't even find where the clasp was on this to take it off. So to have this be attached to, say, shooting line, if you were spearfishing, fishing line, people always use Spectra now. Those are always around break walls now. If any of that stuff gets caught around here, it really is difficult to find the clasp on this. I'm still going to dive with this, don't get me wrong. I'm now diving with 2 dive knives though, one on my belt, one on my leg. Just have to be aware of where those knives are, make sure they're sharpened, and be ready for emergencies. Practice taking this on and off if you're going to dive with one of these. But there are other safer methods that Miranda will talk about. Jeremy.
One more thing.
Ryan's was a cam system. No, it wasn't the.
Oh, his was a different snap.
His was the cam.
Oh, okay, his was the cam.
Uncam and slide it all the way.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, the other thing, and I think it's the worst thing about these bags, as cool as they are, I love them. I mean, for all the reasons Fernando said, they're streamlined. It's really easy to throw your lobster right in it and stuff like that. But there's one other thing you guys need to realize when you're using this bag, and that's buoyancy, right? We all have our weight belts set up so that we're positive buoyant at a certain point, and every single lobster that you add into this bag is that much more weight on your body. And so you can imagine if you're a stud like Fernando and you fill this sucker up with 4 to 8 pound bugs or even less, that's a significant amount of weight that you're adding to your body. And when you were at the point while your bag was empty that if you had a trouble situation, you would be buoyant and float to the top as you should, and you would learn this in the FII. As soon as you fill this sucker up with a bunch of bugs, you're going to sink now. And so if you do have a problem, or you knock your head on a rock and knock yourself silly, or you're trying to struggle for that last little bit to get to the surface, and you're pulling around with you everywhere you go, this bag full of bugs, it's going to be a lot more difficult.
I talk about my setup, the way I do it on that note.
Yeah. So Brad has a setup, and we have, this is like the recommended setup, right? It's going to be safe, and it's going to be pretty easy. And I think after you use it a while, you're going to like it better than this.
Yeah, so after Ryan's accident last year, it really, I would always dive with those bags too. And I got the basis of this idea from a mixture of advice from Jeremy Calkins and Mike Shuck. And so I built this little dive rig here, which, as you can see, it's just your normal float. And I attached the mesh bag to the bottom through, let's see here, with a dive line on it. And this dive line is about 30 feet long. I'm not going to undo it because it's a mess. It's about 30 feet long, with the idea being that you're never going to be looking for lobster any deeper than 25 or 30 feet. You're just not. And then I have this weight with a clasp on it that I attach to the end of the rope. So what I do with this is I'll carry this in my hand as I go from spot to spot along the reef. When I get to a spot that looks good, I will hold on to this and actually use it as a little extra weight as I drop down, save some energy. And then I'll set that on the ground in the area where I'm diving. And then this will act as a little anchor to keep my float in the area where I'm diving. So I'll dive around, look for bugs. When I find bugs, I've got here on the back, I keep my gauge and I keep a light on the back here. So this gauge is on a retractor. You can get these retractors from Petros. So the float is now holding my gauge. I've got a little light that just lives right here, a Princeton Tech light that is just on at all times. Makes it easy to find your float. Also gives you a little bit of light when you're measuring your lobster. Measure your lobster. If it's good, just open the mouth of this, shove it down in, close it up, go along your way. The bag is now carrying the weight of your lobsters that you've got. You're maintaining your proper buoyancy for safety purposes. And on top of that, when you're swimming back at the end of the night, if you're doing a shore dive, you can just rest on top of this and kick back. And now the float is taking the weight of your bugs, giving you a little bit of rest as you're kicking back. I mean, I've had a lot of nights where there's been crazy currents and you're tired, and this helps out quite a bit. At first, when I first started diving this rig, like Rand said, pain in the ass. Felt weird, felt cumbersome, felt like, why am I dragging this all over the reef? After 5 or 6 dives, it just became second nature, and I never went back to the waste bag at all. So I would recommend considering this. I can get some photos posted up tomorrow on the OC Spearos and Friends page, a little bit more detail on how I built this rig. But I would at least consider it as an option for you to keep yourself safer, keep yourself with a little bit more energy in the water, and get your bugs home.
One question.
Yeah.
Does it give you a spot to breathe up for a while?
It does, yeah. If you get tired also, while you've got your little weight, this is a 4-pound weight, this is plenty. Well, that's holding your buoy in place. Let's say that you're tired, you've been working, your float is sitting there. You can just go up to the top and rest on it. Breathe up instead of having to, kick yourself or lay flat on the water. You can keep out of the water a little bit and get a rest. So
Put a glow stick for like a marker if you find a good hole.
yeah. So also Jeremy likes to go way overboard on every single thing that he does.
Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, baby.
So Jeremy always has little short glow sticks that he'll attach both to the weight, and he attaches several down the line. So like 3 or 4 or 5, depending upon how long his line is. And when he's at the top, he can now see a little lighted pathway that leads him back to the hole that he set this in while he was doing a breathe up to get that difficult bug. No, good.
All right, guys, one more setup. This one's pretty old school, but it's a tried and true setup here. Just your standard weight belt with one of the old mesh bags just slid right over with the clip right on your belt. We all are very well aware of our weight belts that we wear all the time, and they're super easy to just pull and release. So if you're ever to get caught in one of these bags as a lobster situation, just pull your belt, drop it, come right back up to the surface. I would still use this method a lot. I find it very efficient. Definitely not as streamlined as those Spear America bags or other brands that have them, but this is a really good method. I'm not sure if you can see my hips down here, but yeah, you can see them right there. You get caught on anything, bugs grab on anything, just quick release and you're off. So it's a really safe method. Like I said, not as streamlined, but I would use this over the other streamlined bags.
That's another good point to bring up about how the lobster will actually grab onto things. They're,
Through the bag.
Yeah, you can grab some pretty big, let's say a lobster, 6 to 10 pounds plus. They're pretty strong. If you have those mesh bags, they'll actually help you and be more streamlined just by gripping onto you. The other negative to that could be they could actually grab onto shooting lines, anything else you had around you that could help entangle you. So you could have that entangled around your arm, and then you could have a lobster holding that against you too. So it's another issue with those streamlined bags. They're awesome. They break easy. If they get stuck on a reef or something, you can pull right up and the mesh will break and you'll lose half of your lobster before you even notice. But other than that, those 2 options, the float method,
Are we back on?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
Wasn't me. All right, get back out there.
Yeah, sorry guys, we lost you for a minute there. Like we said, we're learning all this nonsense COVID Zoom.
I forgot to plug the camera in. I confess.
Fine, it's Moran's fault.
Okay, it's my fault.
I'll blame it on Moran. Hey, if you guys have any questions, shoot them over on the YouTube live right there.
It's not working.
It's not working?
The chat's not working.
Oh, the chat's
not working.
I don't know. We can't see the chat.
Well, give us a call on our private cell phones, and we'll answer your question
Yeah, that's
live.
I can monitor OC
So, you know,
714-308-3342. You can have my number.
Oh my God, you
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely no.
OC Spearos and friends. Post
So,
there.
you know, there's a bunch of other stuff you can use for a weight for your float, and your float doesn't really matter. You can use some of these extra dive weights here. It's been mentioned on our Facebook page that some people actually use a kayak anchor like this right here. You know, how do they do that? Anyway, that's,
You don't need it. There you go.
that pump's open. So then it really is going to hold into the rocks. But yeah, I think you should use a solid weight personally, Brad, because that bag's going to like get caught somewhere and then all your bees are going to come flying out. Other things, you know, a lot of you guys are always talking about fins. I'm going to get some carbon fins. I'm going to get some fiberglass fins. I'm only wearing plastic fins and stuff like that. Well, we're coming into a season where you probably want some plastic fins. You got you know, composite fins. They could be whatever. These are a lot more expensive, you know, than your plastic Cressy fin, $100 fins. I wear those sometimes when I know what I'm diving in. And other times I have these old school plastics. These are a pair that I broke once slapping on the water, and I cut them down. They're a little bit shorter than the long ones, which actually I find pretty convenient when you're lobster diving, especially if you're in and out of the rocks, going under stuff and in stuff. A little bit shorter of a fin is kind of nice, but you know, just a regular set of plastics that you don't mind scraping up. They're not gonna break. They're not gonna split. They're pretty much bulletproof. You can get something like that.
Hey, you see, somebody already took me up on my offer and texted me through
What
my
did they
phone
text you
number.
for
They
now?
said we need a table to put stuff on, and that's a really good idea.
You need a table. Have a table. Should have made that comment earlier. Next time we'll have a table. All right. The other thing,
We're a 501c3. Any donations of tables are fully taxed.
we just bought 2 tables. We don't have any excuses there. So we got some dive lights, right? Do I have a lobster?
A whole lobster.
I think I have
Yes.
a lobster in there.
All right.
Yeah. They'd be in the bottom of the freezer in there.
Frozen one.
I think it's a tiny, small one in cellophane.
It's still moving.
So flashlights, right? Flashlights are cool for kids, for adults. I think they're just one of the coolest things ever. If you're thinking a Christmas gift, flashlight for everyone. Just buy a flashlight. Princeton Tech, these guys are awesome right here. I use this as my primary dive light. Just takes a 4C batteries. It's LED. Pretty cool. Petros sells these at a shop, lifetime warranty. If it breaks, which it might, it's just send it back to Princeton Tech. They'll fix it and send it right back to you so you can break it again.
Breakaway lanyard.
Yeah, breakaway lanyard, right? These, I'm going to talk about the other one. These lights are super cool. I'm going to buy one. Petros was, well, I just bought a bunch of other stuff, so I'm going to buy this later. But this is a really cool light. Takes, I think, one of those 3,000 milliamp rechargeable batteries. Hold it to turn it on like that, and then it's got 3 different power settings, and then it goes off. Really cool dive light. I like it because it's nice and small. It's got a lanyard on it.
How many lumens?
I think it's 1100 lumen. 1100 lumen, says Eric. You get this at Spear America. So
Get in the hole.
All these flashlights come with lanyards. It's great. Obviously, a flashlight in your arm. One more thing to get tangled up, or anything that you have. You can get these also at Spear America. These things are awesome. Breakaway lanyard, right? So with a lot of pressure, you can't see that?
Yeah,
How's that?
Yeah.
So this is a lanyard, and when you got enough pressure, I don't want to hurt my finger. Holy shit. This pops open, right? So that's a good lanyard. That was my air compressor going on.
Compressor's always on, baby.
So you can get these breakaway lanyards. I highly recommend you put this on all your stuff. It's not going to just come off. You know, it takes a fair bit of pressure to unsnap these, but not so much pressure that you're going to get stuck somewhere. You put this on all your gear. Brad was talking about earlier. How he has a light on his float line. That's a great idea. You can also have those on your persons. These are some awesome things that Petros is putting together over the shop. These are 2 little lights here.
Shout out to Night Beacon.
These, this one automatically goes.
You can show it by touching the contacts. Just the moisture in your fingers will make it come on.
Oh yeah, these ones.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. So it's a little beacon, right? I don't know if you can see that lighting up.
There you go.
There we go. So that just goes a little flash out there.
Underwater, it's really bright.
Yeah, underwater is really bright. This one, same idea, except it can take a battery. So you just open it up, put a new battery in when it dies. You can get these at Spear America. It's a good alternative to a glow stick. It'll last longer, obviously. That's great. So, yeah, shut that door. Highly recommend that. Of course, your knife. Don't forget to have a knife on you.
2 knives.
2 knives. At least 1 knife in an accessible position. You need some lobster gloves. Obviously, lobster season's better for a slightly thicker glove. Petros sells some great gloves down there that are pretty puncture resistant. You can get anything. I mean, people use all types of different gloves. Just keep in mind those lobster are sharp and pointy, and so is the reef. And even with the best gloves, you're going to come home with some puncture wounds in your hand. So you're going to want to limit that as much as possible, so you don't have swollen hands over the next few days. So for shore dive, guys, let's talk about shore dive really quick. There's been some questions on the OC Spearos Facebook page. You know, there was one the other day about, hey, I'm ruining my socks, my dive socks, and what can I do to extend the life of those things? Well, if you're walking a long way from your car, over asphalt and over side streets, over rocks, whatever, you're obviously going to start wearing out, you know, your dive socks. And these are Argos. These are my favorite brand. I think everybody in the room's favorite brand is Argos. These are great, and they're going to last a long time if you treat them pretty well. And by that, I mean use them for what they're designed to be used for, which is diving inside your fin. If you're walking around a lot on those things, you're just going to wear them out way faster, right? So a good alternative to that, if you're doing a shore dive and you got some place to walk, get a beat up pair of crappy shoes. You know, that stained pair of shoes in your closet, and throw those on and change in your socks and out the beach. You know, if your shoes are ugly enough, nobody's going to take them. Or you can get a pair. A lot of you guys are surfers. You guys do surfing or scuba diving. This style of booty, obviously you're not going to wear that with your free dive fins. It's a scuba boot, but it's got a real sole on it. You can get some of these. And these are great for walking around if you got them around. And they're black, so you can throw them in the bush or in the rock and nobody's going to see it. What else we got? Dive weights,
Keep your license close to you.
Yeah.
Where you get in the water, get out of the water.
Some sea drops, you know. I went out the other day with one of my friends. He spent damn near the entire dive screwing with his mask. And he's burnt it, and he's done this, and he's done that to it, scrubbed it. Some of these sea drops, and Petros, again, Spear America sells these over there. this could quite literally save a dive and save you a ton of frustration when your mask fogging up over and over and over again. Another tip for foggy mask is when you're getting in the water, especially if you're hot and you're moving around and you're feeling hot in your wetsuit and your face is hot. If your face is hot and your mask is cold, you're going to have a foggy mask. And so right when you get in the water, it's a good idea to get in there and pull your mask down under your chin or have it in your hand. Make sure you don't lose it, of course. And get your face wet and get your face cold. Bring your face skin temperature down so that it's roughly the same temperature as your mask. And you're not going to have that steam and condensation coming out of your face. Also, as little breathing out of your nose as you possibly can. That's warm air. That's going to condense and also fog up your mask if your mask isn't totally clean. But it can be with these sea drops, and then you won't have any of that problem.
I think that covers gear, right?
Yeah, that covers gear. I mean, I want to talk about a couple other things because a lot of you guys are making friends that have boats, right? And you're going to want to go out and you're going to go lobstering on boats. And if you've never been out on a guy's boat before, there's some boat etiquette rules. I really look them up. Don't be a jerk that doesn't get invited back on a boat because you're a slob and you don't know how to take care of yourself. So get all your gear, make sure it's packed tight, bring as little as you possibly need out on somebody else's boat. Don't bring everything, don't bring 5 duffels. Have one dive bag that has all your stuff in it, pack light. Bring snacks for everybody, especially the captain. Bring ice, bring drinks, especially water, right? Don't just bring beer and no water. That sucks. We want water, right? Water is what's going to hydrate you and keep you diving. What else?
Stay after it.
How to measure.
Yeah, stay after it clean. Yeah, I'm not going to go over all the general boat etiquette rules, but you can Google boat etiquette and read it. Right? That's how you're going to get invited back on a boat.
Check the plug.
Check your boat plug.
All right.
Boat plug.
And for beginners, if you haven't seen one, this is a spiny lobster, and this is how most of them look a couple days after opener, because everybody's pulled off all their antenna. This one was wrapped in cellophane, frozen from last season here. To show you how to measure a spiny lobster properly, you have to measure the carapace between the horns and the eyes right here, touching the carapace, and you have to make sure the other end does not come over the bottom end of the carapace. Show you a proper,
That doesn't help that much.
Here.
let's see, right in between the carapace and down. It is touching the carapace. If it is over the carapace and touching the carapace, that is not a legal lobster,
What's a carapace?
and you will get a big ticket. There's going to be so many DFG officers out there, tons who know nothing about lobster, tons who know nothing about fish identification, so you may have to tell them what you have. Likelihood you will. They bring in all the DFG officers from all the mountain counties, deserts, and everything to help catch lobster poachers out there. So make sure you're measuring your lobster properly. That's the most important thing. Another rule is we've all seen people turn in videos to OC Spearos and friends where you see people just load their bag up with lobsters. Come to a shallow surface and then measure every single lobster and throw back the shorts. You can only place a lobster in your bag once it's been measured, proven that it has the 3.25 inch length for the carapace. Then you can put it in your bag and you are in possession of that lobster. Every extra lobster you have in possession over 7 lobsters is a ticket for each single lobster. They do that because they want to protect the species. Every lobster you have in your bag, they're banging each other around, breaking off antenna, legs, arms, and they bleed really easy. They bleed out and they die real quick. So all those lobsters that people are throwing back are not making it. They're not reproducing. They're not helping produce lobster for the next season. So make sure before you put a lobster in your bag, that's 100% legal, 3.25 inches on the carapace between the horns and on the back end of the carapace. Do not put more than 7 bugs in your bag. And if it's super close over and touching, just let that lobster live another day and go grab yourself another one.
Trading up is illegal also.
Trading up is illegal. You cannot take a lobster out of your bag that you've measured if you find another bigger one.
The reason for that is it's not your bag necessarily that makes you in possession of the bug. As soon as that bug is in your hand, you are in possession of that bug. So if you have 7 in your bag and you grab another one, you now have 8. And it's no joke, especially if you're at Catalina and some places on the mainland. We know people that have actually encountered DFG divers in the water. So they will come in the water and they will basically sneak up on you because they can see your dive light, and you're going to turn around and think it was a sea lion and it's a DFG officer. And so you better watch it. Clickers too. You know, there's a lot of talk about clickers. If you have, where's that thing? A legal bug is, this is barely legal, but it's totally legal. Right? But if it goes over, a lot of people I know, they're like, if they can stretch this thing and it stays on there, let's say it goes over the edge of the carapace, right? But they can hold it with the weight of the lobster hanging, they're calling that exactly 3.25. And some DFG officers maybe give you a pass on that, but not all of them.
Soft shells also.
For sure. And yeah, you got to deal with soft shells. One of these stiff gauges,
That's the best.
it's definitely the way to go. Get one that's thick. If you buy those crappy ones from
Aluminum.
like Amazon and they get bent and they might not be perfect tolerance, the DFG is going to have his own gauge, and he's going to have a legit gauge, and he'll check it on that. He's also going to check it on your gauge.
Remember Dave Plossel at one time recommended, he said he does it where he will file his gauge a little bit bigger.
Yeah, Brad said this, and I want to thank you, Brad, for saying that, because a lot of people say that, like, oh, I don't want to get caught with my pants down there. So they'll take it and file their lobster so that the gap is actually wider. Okay, you can't do that. That's modifying your lobster gauge, and that is also against the law. So do not modify your lobster gauge by increasing the gap so that you have a good range in there. That is also just asking for a ticket.
Yeah, get one of these stainless steel thick ones from Spear America. Don't buy that aluminum crap that bend and give you inaccurate readings. It's not worth the really steep fines you get for it. Just another thing, for those of you who are coming into your first spiny lobster season, just some tips on prepping these guys. When you catch these things, take them in your kitchen. You want to stick a knife right in between the horns right there, stab them in the brain so that they die quickly. We like to be humane with our food. And then I'll grab the lobster by the carapace, by the tail, and I'll treat it just like you're changing the batteries out of a flashlight. Just twist, pull.
Yeah, this is
right. This is when you're cooking your lobster. The lobster have to stay whole frozen for purposes of later consumption. But when you're prepping your lobster, grab it like this. Sometimes I like to put some towel over it so my hand's protected from the spines. And just twist and pull. You'll get the tail right off. Save the head. Use it to make a bisque later. You want to use every portion of your lobster. You can rip off the arms, throw them inside the microwave. The meat will shoot out like popcorn. And this lobster doesn't have any antenna on it right now, but I'll usually pull off the antenna and stick the antenna right in the lobster's anus. I know it sounds kind of brutal, but they're dead already. Stick it up there, slowly pull it out, and you'll pull out the lobster's entrails in there. You have a nice clean lobster tail to eat. Cooking, some people like to steam them. I like to cut my lobster straight down the middle, butterfly them, and throw them right on the grill with butter. Garlic, I think that's the best way personally. Some people boil them. But like I said, I think spiny lobster grilled gives the best texture and flavor. So those are just the basics on measuring, how to prep your lobster. To freeze, like Moran did, he had this whole lobster. He just wrapped it in cellophane about 3 times to keep the frost out. Kept the bug really good a whole year later. Some people actually put the whole lobster inside a vacuum sealed bag, cover them in paper and stick them in there.
Brown paper bag works good.
Brown paper bag too. Personally, I go through my lobster pretty quick, so I'll just throw them in their hole. Their body's like a vacuum sealed bag themselves. So as long as you eat them within a month, they're good to go. Never had an issue with the bug frozen over a month. So
One thing I don't like about throwing them in their hole, I mean, if you kill them first, great. But if you throw them in there when they're still alive, they all grab each other and then freeze in that position. And so when you come to separate them, all the legs are going to break off and they're not going to look pretty. So yeah, I like to just kind of squish them up together, wrap them up with cellophane, and then they stack in there nicely on an individual basis. Last piece of gear that, if you are going out in the boat, even if you're not going out in the boat, one good thing that you can use to call for help if you're in the water is a waterproof, portable VHF radio, right? These are a great item. You can keep it in a Ziploc bag, like Brad's float line. You can keep it in a Ziploc and throw it in the pocket there. This is a good thing to have, not only on a boat, in case the captain and you guys get separated, whatever. It's always good to have an additional VHF radio you can call for help. I highly recommend picking yourself up one. I think you can pick these up for about $80 for a pretty decent one that either charges or takes AA batteries, either one. A lot of options out there. This is a Cobra. That's about it. So I think we're going to wrap up this thing. I want to encourage you guys, when you go out and you go lobster diving next month, to find a buddy or two and dive with them. Make yourselves visible, not only to each other with some sort of light. Maybe you get it from Petros. Maybe you have a glow stick. A lot of people put glow sticks on their snorkel. That's a really good spot for it.
I'll get tips.
But know where your buddies all are at all times before you get in the water. Make sure you guys sit, have a chat, come up with a dive plan, understand where everybody's going in and where everybody's going to end up, and then try to stick together throughout that process. If you start to find yourself too far ahead of your dive buddies, make sure you're within distance that you can see them and get to them in time if there is an issue. Fernando, you said you had one more thing?
Yeah, I'll just give them some tips for beginners on lobster diving. I'm not the best lobster diver out there, but I tend to get limits quite a bit. Hey, maybe this is going to help the board too.
I'm not the best lobster diver, but I'm the best lobster diver.
Hey, we're going to give the board limit
You
some tips here. No Dave Colossal. I don't go out and grab a limit of 10-pound bugs. But like I said, I do get my limits quite a bit, and I think it's part of my strategy when I go lobster diving. There has to be bugs when you're lobster diving. When I lobster dive, I cover a lot of ground. I don't sit in a spot for hours just circling the reef, looking in every hole, whatnot like that. That's my last strategy. When I'm out, if I see lobster, there's going to be lobster in that area. You grab the bugs that are easy pickings out there, grab them, and once you stop seeing them, move on to another location. It takes covering ground to get your limits every time. Another tip, don't think too much before you grab your lobster. When you see that lobster, go down there, swim down quick, and just ninja that thing. Pin it down hard and fast to the ground or to the structure that it's on, and squeeze it at the time. So pin, squeeze, grab just as fast as you can. I remember when I first started lobster diving, I'd sit there floating around, doing a matrix, figuring out which way was the best way to grab the lobster. And I can't tell you how many lobster I lost when I did that. So pin them fast, reach really fast, cover a lot of ground, I think is the biggest factor in getting your limit. I know a lot of people like to just stay in one area. For me, that's not effective at all. So that's a tip I'm going to give you all. Just cover a lot of ground and don't think twice about grabbing those lobster. So those are just two big tips that I'll give to all the new lobster divers out there. Don't be afraid to grab them. If you see a monster, it can be really intimidating. If you see, say, a 6 to 10 pound bug, they look pretty crazy underwater. Just go down there, hug those things, wrestle them, and bring them up to the surface. to the surface and be proud of what you have.
Fingers out of their mouths.
Yeah, keep your fingers out of their mouths. I've had my glove actually get caught in one of their mouths. I couldn't even get the glove out. Had they been able to get my finger up in his mouth any higher, it probably would have destroyed my flesh and bone. Is that not gruesome enough for you? Come on. Anyways,
Bite your arm off.
go to Spear America. Get your wetsuit, your gauges, your dive lights, your floats. Everything you need is at Spear America. Petros will hook you up. Donate to the OC Spearos Ryan Huff Memorial. Share that post to everybody. We want to get as many of our divers, if not every single OC Spearos member, certified in FII. Sign up for the club. Bring your friends to sign up for the club. If your friends are diving with them, you want them to know everything and you want them to be safe divers around you. Look forward to camping trips coming up in 2021. Like we said, we don't know when this whole COVID fiasco is going to end, but we are talking about trips and we will have trips in 2021.
I'm dying for a camping trip.
Especially a lobster trip.
Yeah, well,
Camping.
any camping trip with the club is a good camping trip. We've never had a bad camping trip. Thanks in part to all the awesome members that are part of the club. We appreciate your guys' donation on a yearly basis to maintain your membership as an OC Spearo, and we cannot wait for this COVID to get over with so that we can bring back the old action of the trips like Fernando was talking about. The opportunity to see your guys' faces every single month is something that I've really missed and it's lacking in my life. So we just can't wait for COVID to be over with so that we can meet in person. We're talking about how soon we can get that going again. And it just trust us that as soon as we can, we will be. The last thing I want to say before we say goodnight to you guys is we would love more help in the OC Spearos. As you guys know, we are a 501c3, and we're always looking for ways and new ways that we can give back to the members. And not only that, but the public at large. If you have a great idea and you want to see more of something or you want to see something new, please email us at info@ocspearos.org. Send us your feedback. Also, ocspearos@gmail for you guys who can't remember what our website is. Go ahead and email us there. Drop a direct message in Facebook. If you have time that you can volunteer to help us out, let us know. We can use you. We have lots of things to do. We have lots of big ideas that we don't have the manpower to actually make happen, and we wish we did. So if you have some extra time, if you love the club like we do, if you want a way to give back to the local community, and more specifically the dive community as a whole, reach out and contact us in any way that is convenient for you, and we will get you in the mix. So with that, I think we're going to say goodnight, and thanks
Have a
for
safe
watching the
lobster
live stream.
season. Get some big bugs.
Say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys.